All right, so just coming back to finish the swimming demo here. So we had just created the water in our swimming level. So we had just put it down here. We added the water effect, and then we had just started adding some events. So basically, we just said that if he's overlapping the water, we're going to change his fall speed so it's slower. So because when you're in the water, you wouldn't fall as fast. And then we, as a sub event of that, anytime we press up, we're going to set the vector y to negative 300. So I'm going to run it quick and see how that works. So one thing you're going to notice is you can see Flip's normal fall, like kind of how fast he's falling. Now watch what happens when I hit the water. See, he falls a little bit slower. And now you can see when he jumps, he falls slower. And now what happens is every time I press up, it sets the vector y to negative 300. So that means I can basically keep pressing up to kind of swim around like this. Now you could do Kia's down if you want to. If you just want to hold it to kind of float, that would work too. This is more like Mario where, it kind of hops. And if we want to, we could change that vector y too. So let's go. So I could set it to a bigger number. Let's try like negative 600, which is pretty close to like what Flip's regular jump is. We can see how, if we like that. The bigger the number, the bigger the kind of swimming jump that we would have. So we'll go ahead and try it again here. So he'll go down, fall a little bit slower. Okay, so yeah, you can see every time I press up, you can kind of swim that way. So you can decide what you want that vector to be if you want it. I definitely wouldn't do it as much as his normal jump because the water would be kind of pulling him down. So I'd say 300 or maybe something in between, like maybe a 400 would probably be okay. You can kind of decide what number you like. Now, what we could do is if we did, instead of on key pressed, you could do Kia's down. So let's say Kia's down. Okay, and we can just leave that at negative 400. I don't think that'll matter because it's just while you're holding it. So let's see here. Or it might just go faster the higher number that we do. Okay, so we'll come in here and you can see I can just hold it and now he'll just kind of float like this. So if you want it more like floating with holding it down, it's kind of like he's flying basically. Okay, otherwise you could just do where you tap it. Okay. Now it looks a little awkward here where my waters overlap, so maybe you don't want a situation like mine where they overlap like that. But for now, we're fine. And then when I come up here, you can see he goes back to like normal fall speed. He falls like really fast and now he falls slow again. So it's all based on where he's overlapping the water. Okay. And I think that's basically it for like the swimming part. Now we are going to do a nice little touch here. So you'll notice that I have some bananas in there. So let me go in here. Okay. So something that people like to do, I'm actually going to get rid of these bananas. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to clone this banana here on the right. I'm going to clone it and I'm going to rename it and I'm going to call this water banana. And I'm going to make it as a separate object because I want to give it a different behavior. So then what I can do is I can just drag these water bananas on there. Oh, but not on the water layer. So that's why I got to pay attention to my layers here. So we'll go ahead and change the layer. Main should be fine for those. So I'm going to lock my water down, click on my main, and I'm going to put a few of these water bananas down. Okay, and they're going to be underneath the water. Now, what you can do is you can give them a behavior called sine. So I would say things that are underwater that you want to float, give them sine behavior, which is S-I-N-E. This refers to a sine wave. And basically, it's just going to bounce up and down like a wave or left and right. So by default, it's horizontal. So I'm going to change it to vertical. Okay. The period is how many seconds it takes to complete a cycle of the wave. And then you also have magnitude, which is how high the wave goes. So we'll just run this at default after changing it to vertical. But you'll see it looks like the bananas are like kind of floating in the water. Okay. And so then I could decide if I want them to move faster or slower. I could kind of decide that, but then that to me is a little bit more natural. And the reason why I made them a separate object is in that way I don't want sine to be on the bananas for like the regular ones. So then I would have to set up a collision event. The other option is you could do the regular bananas, and then there's probably a way you could just disable the sine behavior when it's not overlapping water. Or what you could do is you could just set the magnitude to 0 when it's not overlapping. So you can do it either way. If you do it like this, you will have to quickly just add a collision event or just copy that collision event so that he can collect these bananas like he would the regular ones. Likewise, if you wanted to make an enemy like a fish that moved around in here, you could give it sign as well. Or you could just make a fish. I would just make it like maybe a bullet that moves left and right, or like eight directional movement, um, whatever you want. Or you could just have like a sea urchin that floats like the bananas, and it could just be like no behavior. It could just float like the banana, but you'd set up a collision that does damage instead. All right, so that should just about do it for the water demo.